There is something about jollof rice that unites people.
It's no exaggeration to say jollof has changed my life.
Oh, wow, we like that.
Then the question always is who's got the best jollof?
Yes.
And, I want to get home safe tonight, so I'm not sure I'll answer, but I want to shout out my Ghanaian cousins.
Of course.
But maybe the Niger way is the best way. Before, Africa felt very far away, but now Africa is very much part of UK culture. It's on our high streets, as you've mentioned. The same for food and food diplomacy. If we look at how Thailand has set up food diplomacy across the world using restaurants funded, I believe the same thing's happening now in the UK with African food.
But let me give you some statistics, if that helps. The famous smoky jollof rice has become more than a meal. It has become a market. The UK's African and Caribbean food market is estimated to be worth hundreds of millions of pounds annually.
What shocks me is how little we in the UK know about Africa despite our centuries-long involvement,
Yes.
if I say that in a hard-minded way.
Yeah.
And I think that's, again, another challenge, because if people had a more positive interpretation or willing to be curious,
Yeah.
I think we'd see this growth happen a lot quicker.
That's
But
true.
there's a lot of work to be done.
So when you come into the UK, there's always a thing around visa that is hovering around your head. And so that impairs your creativity in a way.
Why do you want to come here? Genuinely? Is it because the weather? Probably not, right?
Definitely not.
I'm on a restricted visa, but there is a way to come out of it. Do it legally, do it legitimately, talk to the people that have the information.
You could be a multi-millionaire living in Lagos, and if you get injured, an ambulance probably isn't going to come for you. Fair enough?
It takes too long.
Right?
Can't get through
So
traffic.
there is this balance.
London is considered one of the world's major hubs for Afrobeats outside of Africa. Okay, now let's talk about this. What are the economic ripple effects that we see now when Afrobeats fills a venue in the United Kingdom? I mean, we've talked about the stadium, we've talked about all around the world. What kind of economic ripple effects should we see? And a lot of artists, and I work quite closely with some of them, don't even know how to claim some of their return of investment. They're just happy to get the visibility, the free publicity. Should there be more? Should there be other way they're recompensed, other way they're recognized, identified?
Okay.
What are the ripple effects, economic ripple effects?
I mean, I'll go first. And
Yes.
the reason why I'm going first is, interestingly, I'm from a music background.
Yes.
My grandfather is a legend in Nigeria. His name is Aruno Ishola Bello, and it's quite big. He's late now, and part of what he was doing back then, I'm talking of the 80s, 70s, 80s. He died around 83, but in the 70s and probably the 60s as well. One of the things he was doing differently then was, aside feeding the local audience, he was also feeding the international audience, and he signed deals with a lot of record labels, some of which we are still benefiting from at the moment. Of course, we know of Fela as well.
Yes.
We know of all of these guys that have done quite a lot of stuff. And like I said again, we always go back to what the likes of social media, TikTok and the likes, YouTube have done in recent times as well. What I'm not very clear about particularly is for artists that just moved to the UK, how they can influence from inside the UK, beyond the Burna Boys that probably reside both ways, Africa and reside in the UK as well, and inside in the US, or Wizkid and Burna Boy, and even some of the gospel artists that are doing a lot of other stuff in there. Beyond that, the ones that moved here, also beyond music as well, beyond singing, there are other people that do stuffs with creativity. They do designs, they play instruments and all of that. I've not seen enough from their end, and I feel that for most of them that are here, they need to be a community where people can tap into that would particularly reflect on Africans. That okay, our stuff is here. I mean, it's beyond just it coming from being imported. It's also here in the UK that we can start to represent ourselves. Because I know for a fact that there have been music festivals by Asians. I keep mentioning Asians. They've been formed even for. Not in the Carnival, for example, is from Caribbeans.
Yes, that's correct.
Our own party, I'm still trying to figure it out.
What is
as
it?
Africa? I don't know if anyone has a contrary opinion, but that's still my...
Well, not contrary, but media, so music, art, culture is a form of diplomacy, but it's a form of diplomacy that can come via your mobile phone into your house without even leaving. So much the way food is often a touch point, so is music. And if we look to say, I'll compare Nigeria again, so forgive me for the non-Nigeria listeners out there. We look at Niger compared to Korea. We've got people speaking Korean in Nigeria because of K-dramas and K-pop. If that's possible, why are we even for a second doubting it's possible here in the UK? We've got a deeper history, a deeper language enrichment. And I feel that the big opportunity there is the fact that it's your first experience of a culture. Could be for fun, for leisure with your friends. If we compound that with the intergenerational aspect of maybe grandparents or parents came along and you're a third, second generation British person of, let's say, African descent, you're sharing it and you're inclusive. And then if you like the music, maybe you'll check out a restaurant. If you like the restaurant, maybe you might end up going on holiday or tourism. And then for me, what underpins all of this is people. I alluded to earlier some of the cultural challenges Africa does have around trust, transparency, the idea of structure, forgive me if we're going into detail. And I thought music can be the opportunity for someone to have the first kind of bite and experience of that. And to your point about monetization and whatnot, if we're seeing them sell out bloody massive arenas, imagine 5-10 years when it's maybe local arenas, music, event space, etc. As in, is there an African food festival in the Midlands?
There should be somewhere. We're still trying to.
There is not just big enough.
Okay,
that's me thinking on my belly again. So
and we're going to scoop that idea off because Light of Africa is going to do something about it at some point.
Several places within the United Kingdom, but nothing like on that Notting Hill
level.
I'd love to see, just back to the music point and the Korean comparison. I'd love to see governments in Africa recognizing that there is this amazing opportunity for a living bridge in the diaspora, not just in the UK, around the world. And it doesn't come from just dropping somebody in who's got 1 million followers or a burner boy. I think it comes from within, so to speak. So I think, if not to give advice, I don't think I'm in a position to give advice about music and culture. But I feel like if you look at it as an opportunity to share, amazing things will come, and the ripple effects might not just be monetary.
It could be, building culture. It could be the next 5-10 years. There's a legacy, something.
100%.
Absolutely.
Some of our guys, some of the African guys have been, will I say, indoctrinated now. Someone like Dave, for example. If you know Dave, the artist, he's a Nigerian. But he looks like British, completely like British. So you wouldn't be able to tell if he identifies as a British or he identifies as a Nigerian or an African. We have a couple of them here and there. But I think we'll get there. We'll get there.
We need platforms like this to be able to get there. Okay, I'm going to just move on and talk a bit more about a few segments, and I definitely want us to cover travel because I feel that's important. But let me touch on fashion, film, media, and design quite quickly. So African creativity, as we all know, is no longer waiting for permission. We're setting the trends. I already told you about the Ghana Moscow, Balenciaga, putting their names on that. There are lots of those big names and brands putting their names behind what we do. Okay, so either from Ankara-inspired fashion and collections that we see on Netflix productions, viral TikToks that you talk about, African storytelling is becoming a global business. I have a question for you. Are we witnessing the rise of Africa's creative economy? On a global stage,
should I
not
ask
just
you?
United Kingdom.
Should we ask you?
Would you agree?
I'm jumping semantics here, but it's not necessary that there's been creativity across Africa for as long as time has existed, right? In fact, Africa was ahead of Europe for a lot of things, without going into much detail. But perhaps it's that monetization and that the cross-border aspect of it. I use a comparison again of Korean drama. That wasn't an accident. That wasn't organic. That was orchestrated by domestic investment into the creative sectors in that country. And the question would be, is from an Africa perspective, is it seen as a tool like that? Because sure, individuals can monetize and make a life and a business and a career, but I think it's that added aspect. So you mentioned tourism. Visit Rwanda. Do you remember Visit Rwanda?
Yeah, national shirts for a while.
That's pretty incredible, isn't it? And for some people out there, some child watching was it Man United, was it? Yeah. They're watching, that's probably their first taste. They'll give it a Google and what's gonna come up, right? And you mentioned, to kind of segue into the travel piece, for a lot of people traveling, leisure travel, that part of the world is massive trip in itself, but there's a lot of structural challenges that exist. So for example, not just language, getting around, currency, moving money,
correct.
and those barriers are coming down.
Yeah.
Transferring money because the fintech is easy as it's ever been.
Yeah.
Language and
A lot
culture.
of brands opening up to that as well. Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
But to answer your question more firmly, I feel like the diaspora groups, so if you look at North America, the USA, people who can put the heritage, quote unquote, African Americans, but African Americans, not necessarily diaspora of recent entrants from hundreds of years ago, they might see this as an opportunity to leapfrog their modern, quote unquote, modern influence culture back to Africa and vice versa.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's a new wave, let's say, but it's not necessarily a new wave. It's a new way to monetize and keep money within essentially reinvesting back into the community.
Yeah, that's a good one. I think we need to tidy up the business side of things. So before you put yourself forward, you might want to cover all aspects in terms of the legal, like you talked about, what is it that I'm actually trying to achieve? Is this more legacy, impact, contributing to the economy, but also getting paid whilst doing it?
Absolutely.
So that's important.
Can I ask a leading question about that?
Yes, you can.
As a question from a non-African perspective.
Yes.
Would an African feel, as in, again, African, whatever that means, but an African individual, would they feel comfortable with their intellectual property being protected? Because you mentioned art and culture and fashion. Even I can think of over a dozen examples whereby maybe artists or fashion designers or creatives in Africa find their designs being repurposed, someone like the UK or Europe, and like what repercussions are there? And it's very easy to look at that as just an image or just a woven design, etc. That's a livelihood, that's a career, intellectual property.
Yes.
So is that available right now? Is that ready? Is that matured?
I would probably say no. I think too many times, especially when you come into the limelight or somebody all of a sudden loves your idea, your music, some kind of fashion, that's good enough. Just pay me for the now. And they don't think about the future of how far can this go. And this has also impacted a few people that, do music. It's constantly playing on iTunes behind some of the adverts we see. And I go, that's your song. But where's the royalties that come with that?
Where's my money?
Where's the money? Because somebody else will be demanding it, isn't it?
True.
And it is for us as a challenge for us as Africans. You can't just think about the now when you're signing that contract. The money for the now is not going to sustain you for the future. So there is something about let's make sure we tidy up all the loose ends. Think about 20, 30 years and even your generations to come. And when in doubt, ask people that are more mature in doing the legal aspects of what you're trying to do. I think that's the way to go.
I think there's a bit of structuring that needs to happen as well. Yeah. Even if it's going to be a mini industry, we just structure it in such a way that for everyone that needs to be involved, there's that community or that community as a whole that's structured that could give you advice on what to do, how to do it. One of the things I noticed as well lately is that African films are beginning to make into cinemas. Yeah. For example, Funke Akindele's films, they are starting to make it. I started making it into the mainstream cinemas around, but we're just starting. So now that looks like something that happened. Then it starts to explode gradually. It starts to go beyond just one cinema, and then it goes across different cinemas across the UK and even globally. And when that starts to happen, then we wouldn't have to talk too much because there's a structure that you just plug in.
Yeah.
You understand? Yeah. So.
Absolutely. Someone just dropped in the chat literally that Ghana trademarked kente. So kente is I don't know how to put it, like kind of like the customary traditional wear in Ghana. So good thinking, Ghana, Nigerians, and my other African countries. What are we doing about something that is customary to us? How do we trademark and protect
we trademark Ashoke.
We should have trademarked the Ghana must go. Sorry, there's something about it that we should have done. Yeah. There's a lot of travel that goes into Africa. It's become a £1 billion opportunity. And I'm not sure if you're all familiar with campaigns such as Ghana's Year of Return. So Ghana had a Year of Return, and that was a huge heritage tourism, enormous economic opportunity.
Explain what that is.
It's similar to 30 December.
Similar to 30 December, but bigger, more on an economic level, and hundreds of thousands. They put actors behind it. Like people from America flew to Ghana. And here's the gotcha. The president of Ghana is a president or prime minister, forgive my ignorance, president of Ghana, actually said, if you want Ghanaian citizenship, visit, you will get one.
Seriously.
And then you saw those famous stars, all of them celebrities flocked into Ghana, getting citizenships and ceremonial pictures, everything.
Some of them now have houses there.
Yes.
Interesting. If,
Houses,
investment in
but
there properly.
so opportunities it's not just going for a visit. It opened up. So sometimes we could be intentional and strategic about these things. I think what I'm trying to draw out is people are no longer traveling just for holidays. They're traveling for identity, heritage, connection, economic opportunities.
Yeah.
I mean, I've visited Zambia. The amount of investors in Zambia is good for the land, but I was quite surprised that we were outnumbered in an African country. Okay. I mean, opportunities are there.
Can I jump on this one?
Yes, you can jump in.
The idea that travel and tourism is actually a precursor to latter stage investment.
That's good.
So we talk about foreign direct investment, for example. So foreign direct investment is fundamental for most African economies. Like, again, look at Nigeria. Foreign direct investment could be in T-bonds, and there's government pieces. The government by incentivizing people. But if people don't feel comfortable traveling there, then latter stage investment doesn't come. So if you look at someone like Tanzania, so TZ or Kenya, they've got like a pretty thriving asset class in terms of property at the moment. If you look at Lagos, there's a massive demand for property to be built, population. But what I'm getting at is that if you can get the tourism piece, that signals later development later. It came to mind because the trade corridor between the diaspora from North America, so quote unquote African Americans, is a massive opportunity. 1 in 20 Black Americans in Atlanta, Georgia, are millionaires.
That's correct.
Yeah.
I saw the documentary on that.
Land of black millionaires or something.
Black Mecca, as it's often called.
Black Mecca is what it's called, yeah.
So if you look at it as a corridor, just that one prosperous city who's got a curiosity for a culture and a history, etc. Think of the amazing potential that could be.
Yeah.
And that corridor it could literally be intergenerational wealth for both parties. But if we take a step back, I think that to go to the wider diaspora, the infrastructure does not exist. Something I'm working on at the moment in my international portfolio is reducing the friction between North American, European, so British as well, investors into emerging markets, such as in Africa. But unfortunately, the infrastructure simply isn't there. But my point here is that diaspora piece is amazing because it was the year of the return, you say.
The year of return, Ghana year of return. That's what it was called.
Before December took over,
I
have to say that because the year of return was quite massive. The first time it happened, everyone was going there, all the Hollywood guys, all the artists, proper guys, celebrities, billionaires were going there. And then Lagos took a cue from that and then created Dirty December.
I see.
And then everyone went to Lagos because Lagos is fun. It's, the likes of Cardi B and the likes just started to troop in. And however, there's also the part where you need to protect whatever it is that has been blessed. That your environment has been blessed with. Ensure that you carve a niche properly, ensure that everyone feels well protected, ensure that people are not overpriced or people don't overprice their products. Because now the overpricing of things over there, that started to seem like, okay, what's going on here? And so this last year, December, one of the challenges that happened over there was that people started to feel like things are a bit too expensive. People that want to come from the diaspora or even foreigners that want to come in decided to wonder what exactly is going on. I was in Nigeria in September, and while I was there in Nigeria, a lot of things were really expensive. Now it's okay for it to be expensive, but when you start to look at the value that you get in return for whatever money you spend, then you'll be like, okay, can I just go to Ghana? Can I just go elsewhere? So we need to protect whatever it is we have, basically, and ensure that there's a regulation around that people don't just skyrocket prices because maybe an economic
prices
because you might be losing chances for this sort of
real
investment.
Yes. And I think this is a good point to talk about Pan-Africanism, because I just want people to be very clear. We're not just advocates for Nigeria, and we've recruited you, Jack. You're advocate for Africa in general. So we are telling people, visit Africa. You will be surprised. I've been to a few African countries, and I could say I'll move here and live here permanently. Just how friendly, warm, and the opportunities there as well. So do not think the big, I don't even know what to call it. Is it the big 3 or big 5 in Africa? So Nigeria, Ghana. What else will make the top 3?
South Africa.
South Africa is huge.
Etc.
South Africa is huge. But the other places like Tanzania.
There's Morocco as well.
Yes.
Morocco
Morocco
has got a lot of tourists going in there.
All of a sudden, yes.
Yeah, they got a lot of stuff going in there.
Yes.
Morocco,
Egypt,
Egypt.
Yeah.
Egypt as well.
Yeah, the North Africans.
So these countries, the dilemma is that they're essentially long-term macro instability. So again, not to pick on Nigeria, but that's perhaps been in the stone in Nigeria's shoe for a very long time. And that's putting off long-term investors and foreign direct investment. I mentioned Egypt comes to mind purely because their logistics, and essentially logistics gives them a long-term spec. South Africa has the developed financial systems, long-term spec. Nigeria, however, without going on the topic of oil and natural resources, unless that piece is locked in, maybe their long-term future when it comes to currency fluctuations, government, etc., could be a challenge. And I'm not saying that to discredit or be negative or anything like that. But again, what we're seeing is institutional investors, ultra high net worths. So for example, China investing across Africa like no tomorrow.
Yes.
Yeah, true.
Right? Into infrastructure projects, hospital, renewable energy.
Transportation as well.
Yes.
Right.
That's correct.
But
and farming, food.
100% agriculture.
Yes.
Even what's the word I'm looking for? Technological development of agriculture is a massive opportunity that has been untapped, and you've got to take a step back and ask why. Right? There's two chaps that come to mind. One is the hardest geezer. I'm not sure if you saw him. He was a British guy who ran the length of Africa.
Oh yes,
and
I saw him on Sky News.
Very good, right?
Yes.
Or even there's the two Irish guys, I like two brothers called Africa Addis, probably an Irish expression there.
Yeah.
But they documented what it's like to be on the ground as a foreigner, so as a non-African person.
Yeah.
It's pretty challenging. I'll tell you the truth. Where there's people looking, forgive my hair, but looking for money. Whether it's the police stopping you multiple times a day,
exploitation,
etc.
going on.
And I know it's a sensitive subject, but the problem is that if you look towards North America, you look towards Europe, we can step 2 or 3 steps ahead when it comes to investment and cross-border payments and growth and commitment. So I'd say, and also
that's a good point, Jack.
The other point as well would be if you look at, let's say, Egypt versus South Africa, you've got all these countries in between with massive potential. Right. But again, that's a word I remember potential being used when I was younger. I think the advocation I personally have, if I dial it back into the session today, is the consumer class in Africa.
Yeah.
I would personally advocate for British entrepreneurs, American entrepreneurs, diaspora or otherwise, to see that as a frontier market, to be able to tap into a rising middle class, the supply chain, etc. I say that because I'm fed up with Africa being spoken about like it's a charity case. Forgive my language, because it's not.
And that's what's portrayed in most news outlets, isn't it?
And structurally as well, if we look at the way government investment and subsidies and aid is used.
That word.
Yes. Right? All the time. So I guess what you're saying, Jack, is are we investment ready? What's our preparedness? We want these opportunities, isn't it? So it's a challenge to some of the African countries that are not so mature with the systems and processes. Are we investment ready? Okay. We better move on very, very quickly. I just have a few more questions and we will round up. Okay. And I think a lot of things we've talked about around barriers and enablers, what you do at Oxford Innovation, Light of Africa as well. We've got a lot of diverse founders, but people that are constantly looking for the next opportunity. I think it's safe to say many African founders are not just building businesses, they're now building bridges between continents. And that's good to say. I have a question and I'm going to go around everyone. If you had a small budget and 1 year, how would you use it to unlock more of that cultural and travel related value within Africa?
You say small budget 1 year?
Yes.
I would go on, I'll be trying a lot of food.
Okay.
I would open up my palate seriously. I'll go to Ghana, have a lot of food. Of course, I'll go around Nigeria because there's a lot in Nigeria, eat a lot of food, go to Morocco. But small budgets, you got to increase the budget a bit so I can move around. I need to try a lot of stuff. I mean, that's just me. I just like to open up my palette
But the twist to this is, how do you then use that small budget 1 year, that timeline, to unlock cultural and travel related value?
Well, so if I'm eating the food, I'll be documenting.
That's it.
So I would be on TikTok. I'll be talking about my experience. I will show off the food. I will show you what you're missing. So there's a bit of cultural shock for me here.
Okay.
The first time I heard about fish and chips,
I love fish and chips.
My head,
Friday fish and chips.
What I thought wasn't what I saw.
True.
Okay.
True.
Fish and
Where did you go?
Have you tried fish and chips in Nigeria, mate?
Oh, okay.
You need to try fish and chips in Nigeria.
A different way.
In a totally different way. Because what I thought was I was gonna get like a full fish, peppered, and all of those things.
Did you just say
With some
peppered?
chips that are made in some ways where you would, and then like a
Flavored,
sauce,
yes.
and then I got something entirely different, like a mashed.
Oh, not
Fish,
a mashed breaded fish.
I just felt some
I'm
kind
biased.
of way. I never tried that afterwards. So I just have my wife make
Making the African
you need to try
way.
that part.
We'll get you.
You need to try that part.
We'll get you some Black Country battered chips
Yes.
with some curry sauce
Curry sauce.
and a pint of ale. It's I show speed, I show food.
Oh, nice.
I mean, so I'm going to show you a lot of content. Trust me, you will
Why
see a
not?
lot.
Just the
You see
right
a
way.
whole lot.
Yes. I've developed an accustomed taste. I love my Friday fish and chips. Okay. I like it battered with a bit of salt and vinegar. Okay. The chunky chips. So yeah, call me so loved. I'm
Full
okay.
Fridays.
Yes. Okay.
From my perspective on the budget
Yes,
question,
please.
so I think I know a lot of work can be done here in the UK without having to step foot on the continent.
Yeah.
That's
And I say that
correct.
because by the time you've got your flights, your accommodation, you've probably spent majority of that budget. We all know how much hotels are costing in some countries in Africa, 300 quid a night for not a very nice room, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It's just the way the structure is set up to create its point. It's using partners and human capital. And I thought that's something that Africa is much like we look towards China and how they developed. It's having local trusted partners on the ground who understand and respect the culture, how things operate. We're not going to change the system overnight.
Yeah.
We have to play within the system. And don't get me wrong, from a political standpoint, there is work to be done in every country and the ground, etc. But there's also work that can be done that you've got to work around or work with.
Yeah.
So what comes to mind, there's an ambassador from Ireland who I follow on LinkedIn. It's fantastic. Peter Ryan is his name. You can check him out. He's ambassador of Ireland to Nigeria.
Oh,
And him and his team are on the ground. He's wearing local garms and getting involved,
I saw him
etc.
on LinkedIn somewhere.
He's terrific. He's a big, tall Irish guy suddenly in Nigeria. But I say that because organizations like Light of Africa, etc., the work can be done.
Yeah.
But what I'm getting at here is that if that should not be the barrier to entry, because you could go on a trade mission, take some nice photos, have some nice food, and feel like you've done the work, but in reality, you haven't.
Yeah.
And that's again why we're seeing this differential between ultra high net worth, institutional investors, foreign direct investment coming from massive banks, governments, etc., isn't accessible to SMEs.
Yeah.
So the long and short of this is you don't need to make, for every pound generated, you have to make it all. You could take 50 pence or 25 pence.
Yeah.
A local partner take 50, the intermediary 25.
Yeah.
And that leads to a decade long of business.
Yeah.
The idea of having to own everything and be selfish essentially is often inhibiting.
Yeah.
So I'd spend my budget, if I was to spend my budget aside from traveling, it'd be being based here in the UK, looking towards, for example, the Department of Business and Trade. The British government has an amazing international foreign office and Commonwealth network.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you drop them a text, an email, or a call, within reason, in a respectful, proactive way, they're happy to see you, I promise, because they've got directives to develop relationships between Africa and the UK.
Yeah.
So I'd start there. And when you do take the shot, make sure it's a shot that actually progresses your business.
Yeah.
Because I think that also, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I see a lot of entrepreneurs who get burnt from trying to do something in Africa. And it could be something not respecting local cultures and processes, not knowing you have to speak to this person or do this, or something as simple. Import, export stuff.
Oh, that's a
The
whole
nightmare.
topic.
How many people have had tens of thousands of pounds stuck in some warehouse somewhere?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or they've paid the wrong duty and they
Yes.
haven't fulfilled an order.
Politics
In today's
around as
world,
well,
that could destroy your business.
Yes.
Yeah.
It doesn't take long for a bad deal to go wrong. So there's my perspective. Do as much as you can on the ground here in the UK.
Yeah.
Leverage local partnerships and human capital.
Yeah.
And also just take a step back and just respect that things are different.
Yeah.
And you've got to play within the rules. Don't get me wrong, they can change and they're evolving, especially within generations. But I'm not going to change things overnight. I'm not sure if you guys are, right? So let's do what we can.
Yeah, right now. Thank you. That was really profound. Thank you. Okay, wrapping up. So I think it's safe to say the question is no longer whether culture creates value.
Yeah.
The question is whether investors can see this value quickly enough. Okay. I have a bit of a question for each one of you. For a UK-based founder in year one, what 3 actions would you insist on for them? Let me ask you that, Jim.
Ooh, so African diaspora or otherwise. So first and foremost, and this is semi-controversial, but it really shouldn't be, is not quitting your day job, because when you're chasing a business or a side hustle and you've got bills to pay, and trust me, those bills are increasing.
Yes.
We're not even spoke about inflation rate, never mind rent.
Yes.
So that's one thing. Don't quit your day job. Quit your day job when you can afford to and your income's being replaced. That's one thing. Okay. 2, respect the work that goes into the preparation of assets. For example, your financial documents, your cash flow forecast, projections, having your accounts in order, all that type of thing. What tends to happen is entrepreneurs say, in 5 years, when this business is scaling internationally and they're forgetting they've got to get through the week. And in my experience, that starts off as having your house in order, right? And I suppose the third and final part would be kind of balance as a founder. There's a certain toxic hustle culture, one of which I've experienced, one which I've perpetuated, to be honest with you. When I was working with my American business partners, their culture was amazing when it comes to productivity, but maybe not for balance. The same for China and the Chinese. I say that because I meet a lot of entrepreneurs who maybe ask too much of themselves and forget to be balanced. Relationships, family, health. And I say that purely because this stuff is a marathon. It's not a sprint.
It's not a sprint.
And with respect to the diaspora, I guess, new entrants or immigrants I meet from Africa, they come with such motivation and determination, right? They will bend the earth. They will bend the earth to make something happen. And they'll get burnt out, or they forget that they've got other things to worry about, visas, for example, and bills. So those are my 3 points. But the main point there being just be kind to yourself. Ultimately,
be graceful to yourself.
I think I should go next. So my own part to this would be 3 things, like you said: mentorship, structure, and cash flow. Those 3 things are very important for starters in this country. Mentorship in the sense that you need someone to point the light in the right direction for you. There are people that have done it before. You just need to find them. A lot of people are willing to do a lot of mentorship. That means to give away free mentorship. Some even request charges. However, if you pay 200, 300 pounds to get something worth millions of pounds, is it worth it or not? So we have to also stop the culture of not wanting to pay for services. Because we used to freebies in quotes, and then we don't get to, that would be the limiting factor, because someone asks for 200 or 300 pounds. That's the person's business as well. But when the person points the light in the direction and you walk through it, it just seems like you open all the doors accordingly. Then the structuring part of it is that structure would include being able to merge things together properly, get the right people to help you. Because you need all the help you can get. And there are people that would help you for a fee, some would help you for free. Build your structure properly and ensure that it's in the right shape, because if your structure is not right, you would not get it right. Also, if you could get some people to work with you from Africa that you can pay maybe like lower amount of money, just outsourcing and all of those things.
Giving back to
then most importantly, the cash flow part is very important. Jack mentioned something about not quitting your day job. Until you're sure. If you quit your day job, it would seem as though you're running, but you're running the wrong direction. And you gain speed in that wrong direction. And you know how far you could be if you've gone really far and then you have to turn back to start all over again. You could literally just put an end to the whole thing. So ensure that you're ready in your finances, or possibly if you have people that can support you investment wise or finance wise. Just keep your cash flow going.
Thank you for that. Great insight. I think I'm going to change the question for you, Wally. If you have to speak to investors out there, what opportunity, and somebody who has a business of his own as well, especially in technology, what opportunity do you think investors might be overlooking?
I've been running at least my business now for 2 years, and lucky enough, I've not quit my day job. I'm still on my day job. And why I say that is just to an extent, back in Nigeria, I was always looking for investors. But right now, I'm not looking for investors. What changed? For some reason, I just found out that if you put the right structure, your business can grow. Now, you might get to an extent where you want to look for investors, but there, I want to dictate the terms. Unlike before where they could just come up. So if you're coming on board, you must bring more value than what I have.
And I'm sure no one asks you for your arm or your leg.
No.
Like in Africa, where they will tell you to go and bring your entire house.
To attract such an amount.
No.
In a growing business.
And it just grew naturally. Right now, we do about 150 kids. Month in, month out, they make payment. So now if I'm looking at it from an investor, if you're not investing to me, it's like it's your loss.
Where you get to that point.
You get. So that's why
Yeah.
looking at what you want to overlook, I'm not so sure of what to say.
Okay.
So I'd just rather want to leave my comment like this.
Okay. No, that's good. Any takers on that?
As in, for the UK perspective,
Yeah.
there are certain trends. So, for example, services, so on and so forth, like plumbing, electrics, etc. That the data suggests they're in need, especially for someone who's maybe a new entrant or relocating. You can retrain the right qualifications, and you can kind of walk into, at the very least, a good job and potentially a good business. So that's definitely one. I'll touch on your point about investors. You're right. You are the prize. The business is the prize.
Yeah.
External funding is often more handcuffs than it is an opportunity.
Yeah.
An investor is a new boss. It's like a boss you can't get rid of, to say the least. So if you can bootstrap, it'd be great. For me, though, I think what we're overlooking is actually the bilateral opportunities in terms of trade corridors and cross-border investment, and back into, for example, Africa or Nigeria. Again, I know I'm banging that drum a little bit, purely because there are arbitrage opportunities every day. We're looking at, let's say, importing plantain or fabrics, etc. But think about businesses that we've seen in the UK that don't quite yet exist in Africa. Let's say, for example, you've seen, I don't know, a certain solution or a business, an opportunity that doesn't exist here, pick it up and drop it. I say that because that's all that we did in Britain when it comes to the Americans. We copied the Americans for so many businesses, and there's this latter stage advantage or late mover advantage that we can still find. But again, we're coming back to the role here of human capital, of people and experiences. If I take a more nuanced point about opportunity that's being overlooked, it is kind of those boring businesses that are human facing. We talk a lot about technology and AI and stuff like that, but the idea of third spaces, events, community, that's now becoming quite in demand. And I'd say in terms of the wider diaspora group, there's over 1 million Africans, as in first generation is our expression in the UK. We've got a diaspora of 3-4 million, quote unquote, the black community, including African Caribbean, etc. The concept of the Black Pound, which came about in the UK in the 1970s, I believe, with the Afro-Caribbean diaspora. The Black Pound was essentially keeping money within the community and using collective buying power. I know that opinion isn't always, it's often used as a scapegoat for other challenges and systemic problems. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that if we look around, I was at the church, for example, Harvesters, I was doing an investment readiness talk there, and someone asked the question about accessing finance and investment, and it's hard, investor this, VC that, they'll get back to me. So look around you, your customer base is here. If all 500 people in this church and friends and family supported your business, you would access credit facilities and debt. You would have friends and family, etc. And I think that, to wrap up my point here, I think that it is the idea of not just community or communal power, not even that kind of point. The idea of that opportunities exist, what you said, when you actually solve a problem and you create them. And I feel like the next 5-10 years in the UK is going to be really tough. There's no way around that. There's a turmoil coming. It's difficult, etc. But the guy called Joseph Schumpeter, an economist, creative destruction. One window closes, another opens. And dare I say that the diaspora from Africa are geared up to put the work in. They're motivated. They've got the extremely overqualified, frankly. And it's like bringing a sledgehammer to a nail. I mean it, but it comes from hard work. And to Korede's point of like Southeast Asians, for example, if we look towards what that community has achieved in less than a century to be the largest, most wealthiest ethno group in the UK in terms of like property and asset. Right? What's going to happen next 10, 20 years from Africa is exciting. But it comes down to, again, like you've been saying about evolution, the idea of playing by the rules, procedures, etc. But there we go.
Really good. Thank you. Thank you all. Okay. So this is the most exciting part of our session. As a quick fire round, and you're only permitted to answer with one word.
Oh, no.
Don't break the rules.
Oh, no.
Okay. I'm going to start with you, Jack. If you were to compare jollof rice to a British food, what would it be?
Jacket potato.
Jacket potato. Okay. Flavored one. Most exciting UK city for African food right now?
Birmingham. No, actually London.
Yeah, London. Okay. One festival or event that really brings African culture and travel together. One festival.
What's that one in London?
Notting Hill.
Nottingham, Nottingham Carnival.
Yes, that's correct. Okay, your favorite African landscape you think every listener should at least see once in a lifetime?
KwaZulu-Natal in South Africa. Even if I close my eyes, I feel like I'm there.
All right, we'll be visiting. That's good. Last one for you, Korede. One place to visit in Africa.
Ghana.
Ghana?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ghana.
Final answer. And last one for you. One African song to play always.
is what I sing for my wife.
Okay.
You are my African queen.
Oh, African Queen. That's
African
by
Queen.
Two-Face.
Two-Face.
There we go.
How does that go again?
You're my African Queen.
Girl of my dreams.
Oh, yeah. I'm a little bit rusty. That's a good one. Okay, guys, I'm going to go around. How can our audience connect with you? Korede, I'll start with you first.
My best space is LinkedIn.
LinkedIn.
For connection. Olukorede Oyewoga.
Okay.
That's my best space. Though I do a lot of Twitter, but I'm quite hidden there. Like,
Okay.
It's a very toxic space, but just
But you're still
just
on
watch
there.
what is going on there, basically. But LinkedIn is fine for me.
Okay. Jack, what about yourself?
So Jack Francis Kelly on all platforms. Feel free to drop me a message. Happy to discuss anything to do with investment readiness, growing a business here in the UK, or anything to do with cross-border investment development with an emphasis on Africa.
Thank you so much. And finally, Wally.
Yeah, for me, it is ATEX Zeta. So it's ATEX and then it's transposed XETA. So ATEX Zeta on all platforms.
On all platforms. Thank you. And for our listeners that are connecting with us, the Light of Africa today, you can follow us on several platforms such as X, Instagram at _Light of Africa. And on LinkedIn, we are simply Light of Africa. And on YouTube, we can be found on there at Light of Africa UK.
What about you?
All right. If I have to humbly say, if you want to find me, I am also on Instagram, Temitayo David Ayan. I wear many hats, so you can also follow some of my movement groups, such as our Rising Network and a non-profit foundation that I chair, which is the David Ayan Foundation. We're on all platforms. Just Google that. You'll be able to follow us. All right. I think it's safe to say today, Africa is not merely exporting products or music. We are exporting influence. Okay.
Absolutely.
And it's good. We had some really, really good conversations from food to fashion, music to media, tourism to technology. One thing is clear. African culture is not waiting for a seat at the table. It is building tables. It's creating markets and shaping the future. I'm going to leave you with this question in closing. If culture is the currency of influence, is Africa becoming one of the world's most valuable economies of the future? I'll leave you with that question till our next session. Until then, thank you for connecting with us today. We hope you have enjoyed gaining new insights and perspective about the African culture dividend as much as we've enjoyed this conversations today. Until next time, stay safe, stay productive, and stay inspired to continue to make a difference in your world. Thank you for tuning in. And from all of us at Light of Africa team, we would like to say goodbye for now. Thank you for watching. Take care.